Quite an interesting week, a week where we've seen politics, we've seen national drama festivals, and we've seen the drama in the streets.
Drama.
It has been dramatic in this country.
What?
From South Sudan, Sudan,
Yes.
Congo,
High schools.
high schools.
Hey!
It's your biggest show. It's Let's Be Real.
Indeed.
Let's introduce ourselves then.
Yeah, and we are being real. I'm Dr. C, entrepreneur, founder of Samantha's Bridal. I'm a winemaker, Samantha Wines, and I'm here to keep it real.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm Maria Nyambane Waweru. I'm an author, love the original you, and marriage is a scam, and I'm happy to be here to keep it real.
Exactly. And I'm
Yeah,
Simon.
man.
Exactly. And I'm Simon Says, the guy in red, screaming danger, but also life. Straight into your screens. And I'm going to keep it real with you as we begin on our first topic. CEO, tell us about this drama.
You know, the most interesting thing is you're wearing red and you're not married. When you
Yes.
get married, what will you wear?
Hi, I don't know if now she would decide. You see, now I'm not even have the choice.
We don't decide.
No, we actually do.
Hey, yes.
We actually do.
Yes, a good
I
woman
dress my
does.
husband.
Hey,
Anyway, you know, Simon.
You remember Mishuki?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and when his socks were torn, I think everyone knows that story.
Yes,
it
we
was
do.
the wife who was blamed.
Yeah.
It's always like that. I don't know why.
And you see, that's why we say breakups. And in the government of Kenya today, there has been serious breakup
drama.
between Rigiji
Uh-huh.
and the president. And Rigiji is spilling beans. He's going for the jugular. Every meeting, he says so many things. And this time around, what I liked about him, the guy came with evidence. He was saying, I can show you the paper. Jesse, Jesse. You know the way he says in
Yes.
that Mount Kenya English.
Yes.
I don't know what's your take about this.
For me, the main thing I would say is this.
Yes.
In the relationship context of a relationship, as you've put it very nicely,
Yeah.
this was clearly the relationship between the president and the former deputy president was usually just a friends with benefits kind of relationship. In the sense that it was no true love there.
Yes.
It was just literally a friends with benefits. Reason being, when you break up with a friends with benefits, it's usually cruel and it's usually one-sided that usually now ends up more heartbroken than the other because someone really had their feelings inside of it. While the other person, they thought that you were just being genuine and being a very, honest man in, in the relationship. And that's usually what happened. That's where we were being led in a relationship in which it was just friends with benefits. And literally, when you're in a relationship with friends with benefits, you're only beneficial when you're bringing the benefits. When you stop bringing those benefits, you'll be kicked out, you'll be thrown out, and then they'll start saying that you owe them 10 billion. That is true.
Maria?
It reminds me of when I was dating and I would take cut picture into two anytime that we break up. Yeah.
Huh? What are you saying?
Let's hold that off. So anyway.
You cut the picture.
Yes, we are two. So you just, okay, I was a child. Oh my God.
So anyway, go on.
So this relationship ended. When they were together, we did not hear all these things. Right now, everyone is airing dirty linen in public. But also, the fact that Rigiji at least came with evidence and his story looks like it's straight, feels like now it's a direct attack to the ex, and that is not right. I would feel like, yeah, as the country, we are getting the information. And yes, the PR, we are seeing it, we are understanding and we are hearing. But at this point, yes, maybe we'll be keen next time, but there's nothing we can do. This is more of a breakup that we are going to be getting news on, but not benefits from. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Bunch of news, no benefits.
Yeah.
Do you say no benefits? Actually, for me, I would like to connect the dots. Just like go backwards, even though it may not help. But I think sometimes it's good to connect the dots so that you know how to move. I think impeachment was the wrong thing. He should not have been impeached. He should have been left there to sit there, ignored completely, no say, continue to enjoy whatever fringes of power that he has, and then he would just shut up. But on the other hand, I see a total direct benefit in the sense that we are being given a glimpse into what is actually going on in our government. And I think so that if there's evidence and all these things, it's quite horrific. And it really goes a long way in the civic education, in letting Kenyans know next time what should you listen to? Are you going to be a woman and sit there to be seduced with all these things? And then when you get into that marriage, it reminds me of that song of the guy who sings and says, there'll be no chandeliers, no nothing. Yeah?
Okay.
So it's true. So I think so that it's part of Kenya, the civic education. We are now, our eyes are getting opened, and I think we will choose better next time.
I think the best thing was, I don't think impeachment was wrong. I think impeachment was the best thing because now the dirt is out there.
Yeah.
If the president's side did not impeach the deputy, Gachagua that is, then they would be in a cohort. They would be stealing from us, and we would have not known that actually this country is worse than South Africa during Zuma's Gupta's scandal.
Really?
Yes, because remember what we can see, first of all, Russian government gives us, and it was said in 2022, Sifuna said it, Raila said it, that they were given almost 200,000 bags of fertilizer for free. Then the government decided to sell that fertilizer and go and put and repackage it and sell it to people at 2,500. A free gift, commodity, instead of giving to the farmers for free. You see that the State House has become a place of only deals. And if you do not have a deal, you cannot even work, do anything. So it seems like the way the Guptas and President Zuma used to do in South Africa is the same thing we are doing in Kenya today. And it is very sad because we are doing, our diplomacy is totally wrong. We are hosting RSF in Kenya. It's not a government. They go back there, you realize that the Sudanese are saying we can't export our tea, which they've stopped anyway. And they are the biggest importers of our tea in Africa. So now we are losing all these things because of a few individuals in power and their friends, that the country is not benefiting. You lose fertilizer. The other thing was when you're doing the climate action, the planting of trees, that's kind of 1 billion.
Yeah.
It was supposed to, Muturi said it was supposed to go directly to the ministry. He refused. We know very well that every money has to go to treasury. So the country is being totally mismanaged, and that impeachment has brought us here for us to know how deep the problems are.
Yeah. Actually, I was talking on the perspective, I agree with you, I was talking on the perspective of the president's side.
Yeah.
I'm sure wherever he's seated and connecting the dots,
Yes.
he may think that it was
That was a
wrong
blunder
thing.
for him.
But let me tell you something. Before the impeachment happened, Gachagua, let me just say, was a persona non grata for me. Because he had spoken such bad things.
Of course.
Like about the first lady, there was the fact that, I don't know whether it's true, allegedly he was part of that Northlands
invasion
thing. And for me, I just felt, I felt like violated, even though I'm not in the dynasty. But I felt there are some things that should be left alone. We should not raffle past presidents like that. So for me, I was never, but now I'm even shocked. I'm looking at him and I'm like, this might be our savior.
But you see,
Because of the breakup. If the breakup didn't happen, he would still be doing all those
I
things.
actually even think
Yeah.
because the breakup was actually public, and then so now what happens is if the breakup is public and you try to shame me in public, I'm gonna
shame
make
you.
sure, yes,
So
I
this-
shame you. Yes,
Because he
It's-
actually diluted what the president had gone to do in Mount Kenya by just speaking that.
Yes.
He diluted totally.
that's the truth. And that even you see what the president is doing even with plays around here. Tell us, Dr. C.
Yeah, so this week, unless you live under a rock, you must know about Butere girls. And by the way, I'm an alumni.
Oh, you are?
Yes, I'm an
Okay, I didn't know.
Wow.
Yeah, snap those.
I didn't know.
Okay.
And I can tell you for sure, when I was in that school, there was a very stiff competition between science. I was in the science school and the art school. It was a very strong school. If you were the best of the best and I was an A student, you went to Butere Girls. Anyway, so the issue is that they had a play. I had not even heard of it. Shackles of
No, that's
Echoes
the
of
most
War.
old one. This one is called
Echoes of
of
War.
War.
Echoes of War. which, let me just say, is a satirical drama, which happens a lot of times in many countries. There are set books that are done on it. And apparently, a high-ranking official had called the school and told them not to perform, send the students away. And then a past student, an alumni like myself, yeah, went to the courts and got an order to reinstate the performance. The children were called back and they went to perform. And turns out a politician, a high-ranking politician, was also involved. And what happened, we all saw it, we saw the tear gassing. So the question I want us to discuss, actually we need to advise the president, because I think he's listening. The fact that he knew about this thing and people are disappearing, I think he's listening. So what advice would we have for the president? But also, should we discuss about freedom of expression? I was a little bit like, it's a politician who wrote this script. I want us to discuss. Like, let's engage on this because it's a sign of the times we are living in.
I personally don't think oversight needs to also come from the school side, not the political side. Plus, the criticism of Mtuanje to come and run a play. Me, when I was in high school, I don't think kulikuwa na a teacher who used to write plays. It was usually somebody from outside. And I don't think, I wish angeacha iendelee tu, like the play continues. I don't know why. I don't think kulikuwa na real names. I don't think kulikuwa na jina any political figure. So I think angeacha story. The story just runs. I think ilikuwa blown out because of the suppression of it. And I don't like vile wanafanyia those young children because it's a traumatic experience for them.
You already shut them down way before the public had the play. Probably it would have been a conversation starter in this sense. Whatever it is that they've presented would have brewed up a conversation on our governance, policies, our rights as citizens, our input to making this nation better. But see, we have not had what they wanted us to hear, so there is no conversation. What we have done, we've created conflict, started conflict out of something that probably would have been a proper direction towards what the country needs to hear, to learn, and to do.
What I think about the Butere issue, it was inappropriate. Like, those were just kids. Minding the fact that walirushiwa tear gas. It was really awful. Number two, it was an art of expression. That's what I think. So you just let them express themselves because that in school they are taught freedom to express. So that's what I think.
I want to give a synopsis of the play so even people understand exactly what it is. Because the script is actually out there, guys. The synopsis is basically this. It's a mythical, it's given a mythical city within the Middle East. There's a sultan, and then there's Mama Hanifa, and there's some characters involved in it. So the issue is this. The sultan is a ruler who actually now is restricting a lot of the young people from expressing themselves. So there's a war between the older generation and the younger generation. There's that first war. And then now the older generation is saying that you're not following the customs, while the younger generation is now saying you're not giving us the freedom to actually make sure, bring in new perspectives, and so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to that, there's also even a fight between the church and also even the younger generation. They're also saying even about the church, they're saying that because of your beliefs, you're holding us down and you're not allowing us to even fully express ourselves, stop persecuting us. Then there's a riffle and battle, in between there's that little battle back and forth. Then there's incorporation of modern in this Butere Girls, which I think was very nice. They incorporate the modern aspect. They start saying that a character within the play was using social media to get the word out there, to get the youth people involved, just like what happened in the protests last year. And then at the same time, they even said incorporation of even AI to even get the messages out there. And in the end, what happened was the Sultan sat down with the younger people, and then they eventually even came back together and they said, these are the echoes of... Whoa. Oh, exactly. That's usually the whole synopsis script, of the whole play, so on and so forth.
Thank you,
now,
Simon.
Having said that, what would cause a secure government to behave with such grave insecurities like that? Like, why are you bothered with kids expressing themselves like this? What in the world makes you think that this will even be a good idea? The former Senator Cleophas
Lala.
exactly, him, this is not the first play he has made. Echoes of Doom, even he made it a long time ago. Shackles of Doom, even made it last time, as if this is the first play. As now we now make sure we politicize it. This is not it. And I even think even this play was even so much better because it actually criticizes, even actually points out the real issues that we're undergoing even right now. In the sense that in this play, it points out that there's a girl who's pregnant. She's not actually pregnant, she's figuratively pregnant. With what? Hope. Hope that indeed free healthcare, good education that you constantly worry about, and other things that indeed the government actually works. She's pregnant with that hope. That's a metaphorical thing that we actually want. The things that we want as Kenyans. When you see a government in any way criticizing and stopping you from expressing a criticism of them, be well aware that you're not being led by a government, you're being led by insecure leaders who do not actually want other people to point out their incompetence, and they don't see ways in which they can actually do better and ways they can collaborate with people who are screaming and shouting and telling them, we have had enough, we don't want it anymore, and indeed, these are echoes of war, and we're going to keep on shouting.
Let me speak as a writer. For you to write, you need inspiration from your environment, the people around you, and your own story. So they were not supposed to go get a play from somewhere else. They were not supposed to come and tell us about another country. They were not supposed to come and tell us stories from anywhere else. They are speaking what they've seen, what they've experienced, what they've known. And that is why the play was so dear to everyone who's interacted with it, because we can all relate. Now, here's another thing. Every year there's music festival and there's drama festivals. We don't know, as the public, we don't know what they play, what they show. Sometimes we know who wins, but we don't actually, it's not even highlighted of how the play was. What the government has actually done is to make us aware of Butere girls and their play and who wrote it and what it's about. Because personally, if you had told me that there was a drama festival, they acted, it won, nobody would have even known about it. Now, it's like we are now showing you this, we are insecure of this, stop talking about it. It comes from a bitter perspective of, why are you telling people the truth that they already know? Because in real sense, next year there will be drama festivals. Are you going to be attacking every play that is there to speak about people's lives? Because people are talking about what they are experiencing, what they know. Nobody is going to write from space. They're not going to write about that. Another thing is, these are children. Like, whoever held a tear gas and threw at them, what were you thinking? And it's not like you live in a different country than ours. Whatever story they're saying is true. And frustrating them to perform even without props. Mm-hmm. It's really diabolical, to say the least. I feel like if the government would shut up and just let them perform and do what they were doing, it would not have gotten the attention it got. Now, the government is on, everyone is seeing how the government is on the wrong for attacking them for something that they would have just let it die a slow death quietly. They do their thing and it's silent. But right now, we are all speaking about Butere girls and we are all seeing the script and the stories and everything they wanted to tell us that we already know.
See you?
See you, yes.
First of all, I would say that art is a reflection of society. Art is a mirror of society, and you do not, if you don't like that mirror, then you better break it. And how do you break it is to shape up and do the right things. Because in any form of expression, you must express the way it is. And this is the 82nd play Cleophas Malala has written. It is not his first play. And Kenya, we have always known that we have problems with productions. In 1977, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, in my hometown in Limuru, in Kamiredo, he penned a play for the citizens. It's called Ngahikadeda, or I Will Marry When I Want Simon.
Yes. I know it. I know it. I know what you're saying.
I will marry when I want.
You should marry.
And the Kenyatta government was so mad about that production because it was talking about how post-independent Kenya people were being mistreated and how the freedom of the country has gone to a few individuals and the rest were languishing in poverty. So it was banned, of course, and conscripted, and Ngugi was arrested. That was his second production after doing a first production in 1974, The Trial of Dedan Kimathi, which was also proscribed by the government of the day. So moving forward, you can see that the productions in Kenya and the successive governments have always tried to stop people from saying what is happening. Then the good professor Francis Imbuga wrote a masterpiece, Betrayal in the City, Mulili and his ilk. And what did happen? They also banned it. So after the Betrayal in the City, which was also serious production, so I've given like 4 or 5 plays there. And then, of course, came now the Shackles of Doom.
Yeah.
And now we are seeing Echoes of War. The successive Kenyan governments have always tried to stop the citizens from expressing the fact of what they are undergoing. And Echoes of Doom, Echoes of War is just a part of the reflection. Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013, this is 10 years ago, when the Shackles of Doom was also proscribed and it went through the same process and eventually was staged. So my take is that the population always finds a better way of telling their stories, of coping with their problems. Art is a form of taking that space to tell the public in a nice way, this is our problem. The Royal Velvet, the country is called His Highness the Royal Velvet, is in that situation, and that is what Kenya is undergoing today. I'll flip it to 527 BC. The Greek city,
527?
yes.
Okay.
The Greek city-state wars between Sparta and Athens. It was what we used to call the Peloponnesian War. What stopped the war, and if you read the play by Aristophanes, it's called the Lysistrata. The women devised a way of stopping the war, and they said that they will go on sex strike. And in the whole of the Greek city-states, all the women withheld sex for their men, and it was turned into a production. And the 2 city-states came to peace during the Peloponnesian War in 527 BC. So what am I saying? I'm saying that you can try to stop these children from performing their production, but you cannot stop a change from coming through.
That's
It
true.
will happen.
Yeah. The revolution is going to come by force. Dr. C?
Okay. So for me, my take is that the country and the leadership has just given us a masterclass in crisis management, communication, and crisis management. Because I think so that from where they're seated, there's an issue of ego. And they felt the ego bruised, and if this play goes on, they were thinking in terms of how the populace will actually react. But on the other hand, there are some crises that need you to just sometimes shut up and not do anything, and or you then communicate differently. So I think for those people who are PR managers, corporates, there's a lot of lessons as a country that we need to learn from that. Number 2, I think so that I've actually taken time to think about this. I think the president should hire some of the social media influencers
For what?
to help him deal with some of these things. This is why, let me explain. So people like Itumbi, they were used to making these big reviews on bad things that have happened, and they would write those things differently. Now, take a good example of somebody like Bahati, whom a lot of people would know. If you go to their social media sites, There's so many people talking bad things about them, from the car to I don't know what. And somehow they found a way to still keep their followers and not make this thing relevant. Personally, myself, like a reality star, there are times when I know, like, you light a matchbox like this, it will just go off. So we really, honestly, he needs to get, because it's an art that you learn on how to deal with some of these things. Because I don't know if you guys remember the satires that actually came up after President Moi retired. There were all these people, in fact, they were even being hired to go to weddings to just make a satire. And usually it's usually at times of when there's a political change coming. And he would do nothing about it, and he became even happy about it. You remember? Yeah, a lot of comedians were actually imitating him, even when he was still in power. And just to add to the books, we were talking earlier about Nikolai Gogol's Government Inspector.
Yeah.
It's a book that I think a lot of the viewers may know because it was a set book, a literature set book. Did you do it?
No, but I've read it.
You've read it, but it was a set book that a lot of us did and we were examined on. And the background is exactly what is happening in Kenya. The setup is in Ukraine, Russia, where there are all these government people stealing everywhere. And then they hear that, oh, a government inspector is coming and he's going to be incognito. So they do everything they have to do to actually hide. So anyway, in conclusion, I think, so I hope we are all taking note. The president needs to fire his advisors, his PR team, and hire a new PR team. Invite those children to State House, perform, and let's have a banquet for them. And in fact, let's have a set book on it. Right?
Agreed, 100%.
Yes.
That's actually what I would say.
Yes.
Let them perform in front of your own face. And
As we go to a break, I think the man who was in the government inspector is called Lestakov.
Yeah, Lestakov,
And
yes.
there was Dobchinski and Bobchinski.
Yes.
Let's take a short break.
Yeah. No, but a lot of people...
Let's go for a short break. We come back, we come for the next thing.
Well, welcome back. Yes, indeed, you're still tuned in to Let's Be Real. We're going to keep it real. Hey, take your wine because you need to swallow the next story that we're going to take. But before you do, let me pour also Dr. C some wine real quickly. We also need some little bit of Samantha's wine before the topic that Maria is about to give. Maria, isn't this topic that you're about to give us very interesting? Tell us about this story.
She can sip fast.
Yeah,
Sip and be cheer.
Cheers. Exactly.
Yeah.
To the good life.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Full of fun.
As you
Seems
guys
to
are
be
enjoying a good
the
life.
idea, right?
As you guys are enjoying a good life, there's a guy somewhere who has actually termed the child ugly. Yes. So,
The ugly babies out here, though.
so here's the
He
point.
needs wine for that.
So here's the point. A man falls in love with a girl, and you know very well, let me tell you something. This is something people don't know. When my parents met, this is the look they were going for.
Ooh.
So,
Hey, that's nicely said.
so this man met this lady. They love each other, so there's a look they were going for. But apparently when the child was born, the guy sees the kid and is like, no, this baby is ugly. You and I are so beautiful. So the man decides, I'm doubting, I'm the father. Because it's really hard to doubt if she's the mother. So he doubted if he's the father. On going for a DNA test, the DNA shows that yes, indeed, he's the father. Only to find out that the lady had done some procedures on her face to make herself beautiful. Yeah, I feel technology should change and have procedures done inside for the babies to come out to looking. Yeah, so is this something that the lady should have been disclosed beforehand? And if she disclosed, would the man have agreed like, okay, yes, I understand that your looks were like this child before, now they're like this, and I'm okay with it? Or are these conversations that someone is supposed to go deep on, like ask questions? Don't wait for them to tell you that I did a plastic surgery. Like, Simon, you're looking for a wife?
Yes.
The girl you meet will be like, hi, is that face real? What do you think?
Looks, personally, they do matter to some extent, but I think it should be accompanied by more. in the sense that when you sit down to discuss, we will just be talking about how pretty you are. There's much more to a relationship than just beauty. So it's a wider conversation, but then again, it depends on what someone wants. But for me personally, it's beyond just having looks. Should you disclose if you went through a plastic surgery or you altered yourself? I think it's important. It's important in the sense that I would really want to know the kind of surgeries that you went through, just so that I'm prepared in terms of, I look at it from a medical perspective, you know, because you could have gone for a silicone implant and whatnot. How was it done? Is it something that might affect you in the later years to come? If you're going to have children, would that affect your ability to breastfeed and whatnot? So I think it's a wider conversation that needs to be had by partners. I think it's important, so, because then again, we're getting into a relationship, we want to get married. See, situfunguke tu tuseme tutoke.
Looks do not matter, because the partner you choose, you should accept what she brings or who he brings on your table. So you should not look at the looks. You should be fully acceptable on what the person brings or how he looks, because that's your choice.
Personally, I feel that looks matter in a way, because when you go to approach someone, you are attracted to something about them. So when looks matter, when you're courting this person, it goes on to parenting. And as a couple, if you're in a relationship, you should be free to talk to each other. So if you come to feel betrayed later on, then it means you guys are not really speaking, you're not communicating.
When a lady lies about her looks, is the same extent as a man lying about his pockets. The same wavelength. The same betrayal a woman feels when she has been taken to a 5-star restaurant, but then now when she's 6 months in, she realizes this guy actually stays in a bed sitter and all you guys were doing was just hopping around in Airbnbs left, right, and center. And that is what you guys were doing. Same way. And then now also, this comes in this way. I also have to criticize this man because look at the sisters and the other relatives. What's wrong with you? Even you should meet the other relatives and actually even see how they're going to look like. What is wrong? It's common sense. Yeah. You look at even see where did you come from? How do the people that you actually even came from look like? And then now even what diseases even do they come with? And any man who just marries or gets in a relationship just because of looks is as shallow as a woman who just gets into a relationship with a man just because of money. Because both of you will get the same problems all the time. Both of you will get disappointments. She will age and he will go broke. Both of you separate and then you guys start staying there. Woe is me. Nonsense. It's you making foolish decisions. Grow up, both of you.
Okay. Simon.
You said truth.
Let me tell you something.
Man.
You know, sometimes there's one sister who's the most beautiful among all the other relatives.
But it's not that far. Like she has a big nose and there's somebody who could bleach light skin.
No, that's the
you can tell.
point.
Sadiqa's sister. Can you see how dark probably she is?
Okay, let's
Even
not
her
go
cousins.
there.
But that said, from a purely scientific perspective, there's what we call selection. So when you look at the Turkana women, their neck is always getting longer and longer and longer. And why is it getting longer and longer? It's because they use the beading to make it longer and longer, because that is a natural selection where the girls with longer necks are seen to be much more beautiful than the ones that don't have. Even in the natural, the peacocks, the birds with a bigger voice, we see those things. Yeah, those things are really there. So I think it's very natural for a woman to want to change herself to look in a certain way as part of natural selection.
Yes.
But her desires. On the other hand, when the children come out, they're going to look like almost maybe both of you. For example, I'm told I talk, look, everything is like my paternal grandfather. So I think my father, when he looks at me every day, is like, oh my God, you talk like my father. You just like everything, all my mannerisms, everything. And you know, there has to be something deeper that connects you. So I think that's a very artificial relationship. It was bound to change anyway. So if it's about looks alone, yeah, there's a time in marriage when you transcend looks. even someone you thought was very beautiful or handsome actually becomes very ugly, or even grows more beautiful because of the life experiences you've had together. You become maybe almost, okay, when I say brother and sister, I know you're
But
going to
it's
come
true.
after me.
Hey.
But it's true.
But a relationship has got to be based on other more serious things, and it has to transcend looks.
True.
Yeah.
But
That is true.
but Dr. C, let me say
But
this.
full disclosure is important.
This is the point. Okay, if the looks were from natural selection, the bearding, the ear piercing and all that, that's another thing. But imagine these parents are the beholders of this child. And beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And the father beholder does not even want the child because the child is ugly. Let's be realistic. Sometimes there are people actually who look for a spouse based on their looks because they are imagining how their children will look like.
Yeah.
So
Really?
there are people who are like, I want to see my children. There's a look I'm going for my children.
Listen,
Yes,
you
because
But
don't come at me. But let me tell you something. When I was younger, I wanted to get married to an Indian because I loved their hair.
That is the truth.
But it's true, by the way.
That is
there
true.
are people who look at a child. Wait, relax.
like, you know, she actually even getted one.
No, but to be honest with you, it's some people. So if I come to you, I looked for you for a certain look, and then you give me a child, you disappoint me. Please don't disappoint me with children. Don't.
But it's about, CEO, before you go, but it's about perception, because I remember very well growing up, knowing that the girls who have a gap here, which my daughter, by the way, has, are very beautiful, and they fetched more dowry.
Yeah, I'm dating one of those.
Yeah, so looks were always important. And so what is wrong? So you better have enough money so that we go and do plastic surgery on them.
But
the offspring.
We go and take the offspring to do the surgery too.
The problem, and I think that man is very stupid, but he was right to go to check the DNA, because this world is cutthroat. If you have an ugly kid, the chances of him making up in this world is crazy. Let me tell you.
But isn't it in the eye of the beholder?
Hey, hold up, let me drink.
Kids today, for them to get a job, if a beautiful lady walks into an office and an ugly chick, the beautiful chick, presumption
yes,
is that she's smarter,
incredible,
she's better. Wow. The questions she'll be asked in that job interview, different. She gets it easier.
True.
So you have no chance in this world to get an ugly kid. Don't ever accept.
Yes, your
but
ugliness
isn't
will
beauty in
discredit
the
you.
eye of the beholder?
It doesn't matter.
If the beholder, let me tell you, the beholder is right now you. But the job market is
But
different.
who
The
determines?
marriage is different. The society idea of what's
Listen.
pretty
You know,
is the only idea we
it
know.
is
right
Even
now.
babies
through
know
your
what ugly person
experiences.
is. They cry when they're being held by some people.
Yes.
Even babies, they
Even
know.
babies
Ugly
know.
is ugly. We know.
No,
we're not
no.
trying to be nice here.
Listen.
Everybody's pretty.
Listen, sir, what I was trying to say.
My
is that-
sons are cute.
what I'm trying to say is very simple, that if you want to get married, please make sure that the person you're marrying,
Yes.
Yeah.
you've gone through the diseases, you've gone through the other people, you've seen how they look.
Psychology also.
Psychology, is he a mad lady? Does she go bonkers? Because nowadays, 90% of the women in this city
are
extensions, eyelashes, nails. So now,
And not to
before you
mention
get
other
the
things.
original you and the original her,
hey.
it has taken time. So first of all, ask her, is this the original you?
But
That
you
is
know,
true.
ladies who have done
Then you
that.
can
But this is
enhance.
the original me, and this is the looks my parents.
You know one thing I
But
say.
the women who have done that, Simon, the women who've done, let me just give you a story.
Say it.
The story is, there's this lady who was getting married to a Ghanaian,
Yes.
and they actually went to Ghana.
To do it.
The only difference is this guy hired a whole family. You
Hey.
can hire a family.
Yes.
That's
If you've got the exchange of really changing yourself and you're so vain, and you know this man, an attacker, you hire cousins, you hire people, you put them in one
Yes.
room. Yeah? They
They
come
look
and
like
negotiate.
her.
People are doing that.
well, but
I
that's
bleach
wild.
and then I
This
get
is a
brown
true
skins
story.
as family.
By the time they were divorcing, she actually realized, Allah, and we were all those people who came? Wasn't that your mother? No. Wasn't that your father? No. He actually hired a whole village.
All I say is that that's a lady who can be easily fooled, because I'm sure that's not the first lie that he told her. That is the truth, because there are also other people out here who can also even manipulate even your little daughters out here when they go to campus. Let me tell you even the story about femicides, and it's still going on here in Kenya, and that's a serious issue that we're going to address even right now. What are you going to do? Case in point. Multimedia University. Just here at Wrong Guy. What happened was their parents even sent their daughter out there first year. Very vibrant, ready to go out there, ready to conquer and make sure that indeed she gets money for her to even get education for a child, for a mom who's a single parent. Now, when she gets there, there's a guy who sees her, because you see first years, you're like, fresh meat. Let me see what I can eat here. Now, what happens is he started chasing after her consistently. Now, here is where I put a serious pause on this, because this is a serious issue. As a man, what happened was he steadily pursued her consistently over and over again, but she constantly said, no, I do not want anything to do with him. Well, one day, he actually now got time with her, and what happened was she went missing for several days until even people found her. Guess where they found her? In a tank upstairs in a hostel. Reason being, he packaged her in a suitcase after he had committed what he did. And that now packaged her, threw her body out there in the tank. They found her body in a tank upstairs. The point I want to point out is this. As a man, especially even as young boys, there's one thing that you need to learn even as yourself, even as you grow up. Your ability to accept rejection shows your level of maturity. And that's beyond even the scope of even just relationships. Even when a job opportunity you go to Dr. C or so-and-so, if they tell you no, your ability to accept that no and actually move forward shows your level of maturity. Immature, weak men are the ones who actually now don't take rejection as if it's a pronouncement on their value individually. Your value as a man is not pronounced by the value that you have to offer to any girl or any single employer or anybody that even can show you rejection. You should have intrinsically recognized that indeed, when you take in rejection, you should now take it and then use it as a way to actually make yourself a better individual. All right? And then it builds resilience and your ability to grow as a man. When you lack this, that's when you can cause someone's daughter. You can cause someone who's actually now their pathway to success. All because of your foolishness and your lack of emotional regulation. That is the message even for young boys out there when you go to campus and you're there, all stamina-minded, and all you want is to see another person's daughter naked. Your ability to actually, when she tells you no, is now you are supposed to now recognize that indeed, I have shown this girl that indeed I am not. Actually, she's told me that indeed this is not something that I want to engage with you. You stop yourself there and then move on and learn to do better as an individual. Because the moment you stop by saying you're not going anywhere, it's either me or you, do or die, that's when you end up doing foolish actions in which you will regret. And especially even that entitlement sometimes even we men get when we get even some money and we think because I paid for something for you, I require something from you. Okay? Be very careful as a man to limit your interactions within human beings and then leave to them only transaction alone. You will only get transactional friends and you'll be left all alone. Huh?
I'll call it a parenting problem. I always say this. Sometimes parents need to tell their children no even when they know they can do it. Even when you know you can give, sometimes say no. Teach your children this muscle of it's okay to not have it. It's okay to wait. It's okay, it was never meant for you. Most of this, you find that most of these people are the ones that are used to everything I want, I get. Everything I need, it's always, they've never faced rejection. So at this point now they're away from home whereby no one is parenting them. Now they get a no, they can't believe it's a no. And the reason why a lot of crime rates happen is because from a young age, this person was never told a no. So if parents would practice the art of saying, sometimes just say no. I know you can afford it. Yes, I know you can buy it. But just say no. It's not because you don't want to do it, but it's because you want to see how will this child react. and what level of tantrums that is my child possessing. Because, you know, as a parent, you will know the kind of anger your child has. So by the time they get to a point whereby they can take a life, they've done crazy small things while growing up. Now when they are out of your sight, now they can do even the major ones without even thinking. Because their brains have not been conditioned to know that sometimes rejection happens. And in this world, disappointments are more than the yes you get. Actually, the no's are more than the yes you get. Now imagine this is someone who never gets a no. They expect a yes, and the no's are many. So when they go to the society, it's different. It's always a no. And another thing is, it's not love. It's lust. Most of these feelings are out here in campus. That is not love. It's just an infatuation and lust. Because when you love someone, I don't think you can get the courage to harm them. So this desire of I must get you, I must have you, just because of some aspect you have in your body that I've seen, does not guarantee you to get it just because you want it. And sometimes your needs are not my needs. We have to meet at some level for me to say yes to you. So just because you want me doesn't mean that I should give myself to you. But at the same time, I would still push it to a parenting problem. Parents, raise your boys to know that not every girl they want, they'll get. And also, not every girl they want was meant for them.
True.
Sometimes, it's good to just accept that whoever was meant for you will not even give you 2 days of asking. Actually, atakukatia. Relax.
But it's someone really meant for you.
So my take is that I think this guy is a psychopath. Yeah, he's a psychopath. And you know, people who say, oh, if I can't have you, then nobody else will have you. Usually sometimes it's like that. So he's a psychopath and he's dangerous to the society, should be locked away. That said, when we talk about parenting, that's why I advocate for sports in all schools. Because learning how to win and lose, I think it is best learned on a sports field. You know, you have the sports that are collaborative, and then you have sports like swimming that are just individual. I see when the children are so involved, your team loses, you cry, whatever, you learn how to take it, and then you win, you learn how to win and how to be a gracious win. And then also learning how to stick in your lane in terms of for a sport like swimming. So you're swimming, you have your own marks, you have your own timings, and you go with that. So I think so that it's very difficult for parents alone sometimes. There's a generation that is just growing up pampering their children, like CEO you mentioned last time, that parents have gone through this issue and they're like, because you're my child, I don't want you to go through the same issue that I went through. So you're busy pampering a child. Sometimes it's okay to tell a child, no, we don't have this today. No, you will not do this. Let them learn disappointment at home. And also maybe even in school, on the pitch. And so all these things really add up. So there is a psychosis there. And it could also be parenting, but also coming from families that are where women are disrespected. If a son is seeing the way the father is treating women in the household or the mother, where women don't mean anything, they also grow up thinking that, how can you refuse me? After all, you're just a woman. You mean nothing. And you know, it's so funny, there are societies that are still like that. The other day I was talking to a friend who had gone for a job in the northeast part of Africa. And she was like, my goodness, you know, there's so many things we enjoy in Kenya and we don't know. There, nobody, like, you're a woman, what are you telling me? So until she told them, you know, I'm a woman and I'm the boss and it's my job, and actually you either do what I said you do, or actually I have the power to fire you. It's just how the society is wired there. So it's about how are men also interacting with their sons? What example are we showing?
So mine is very different, is that when I look at the universities, there's a gap. Because someone getting killed in a university where there are thousands or hundreds of students and disappears for 2 days raises a big question on how secure are the rest of the students in that university. All of us who went to University of Nairobi know for sure that at any given time, there are people on the corridors, there are people who are coming from class. For you to kill and carry in a suitcase, someone will see you.
Yes.
It is impossible, even if it's midnight or 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, there was always light on, things are happening. People are either reading, others are going to the library, and people are always in groups. I have never seen a place where a girl would disappear for 2 days and people don't know where she is, or 30 minutes. Because in campuses is where people reach out to one another very quickly. You have an assignment you're doing. You don't even sleep in your room alone because you have decors and you share rooms and all this. If it's, because this is in the university. You're not, the student was not renting outside.
Inside school.
It's inside school. The security always checks. And you remember in the campuses there was a 10 to 10 rule. There's no boy who would be in a girls' hostel at past 10 o'clock. So for me, my problem...
Is it still there?
It must be there.
Yeah, it was still there.
Yeah. My problem is that the university has totally relapsed on security of students. Because those psychopaths, they are everywhere in the midst of people. But there are rules to keep them apart from people. And this girl, if the university was more proactive enough, by now the corridors should have CCTVs. Everywhere we go nowadays are CCTVs to make sure that people know what is happening. And someone is in CCTV room to check the tapes. No one will be walking with a suitcase carrying and how big is the tank upstairs? You want to tell me no one is walking around that campus? And these deaths have been too many in campuses where young girls are being killed because universities are not taking responsibility and taking care of the security of its students. It's high time because you are sending your kids to school or your daughter or your son to the university. There must be law and order in that university so that people know things will happen. Otherwise, we've had stabbings in the campuses. We've had women who have been raped and killed or choked, and these things can be stopped.
Even I'll go further in this. There are many cases, let me even break it down in a realistic way. When it comes to the development of the mind, even when it comes to relationships, a lot of the core first relationships that people usually get within campus. The first ones that you can say, my first love, the first ones I engage with the other sex, even now learning how to engage even now, officially like saying, okay, Maria, I want you as my girlfriend, that sort of thing. That usually happens now in campus, the first years and so on and so forth. Now what happens is the lack of proper actually knowing the content of how to even behave in a relationship is usually now the issue. And even now, how to even engage with someone for them to agree to, for you to be in a relationship. It's not for me to come here and coerce Maria. It's not me actually now recognizing that even as a guy, when I approach you, what is Maria giving me? Is she responding to my texts as fast as often? Because I'll not lie to you, guys, if she's interested in you, trust you me, she is not too busy for you. She does not she does not like all of a sudden sick or something. Today I'm hanging out with my friends. No, she has time for you.
Actually, I'll ask you.
That is the truth. Even that is the she respond to your messages. If she doesn't respond to your messages, Kijana, what are you doing? Move on and stop being a desperate kafukusui here. Nonsense. That is the truth.
If I like you,
that is the truth.
Girls, they don't play hard to get. That one went with the generation.
Yeah. Oh, they're very proactive.
In my generation, let me tell you.
This is when
a guy is calling you on Wednesday.
we're winding up, guys.
A guy is calling you on a Wednesday on a date.
Yes.
You refuse because he
You're
needed to call
pretending.
you on a Monday. No. You just refuse because you're like the second option. Like there's nothing like somebody's calling you on a Saturday morning now with let's go out. Those plans need to be firm. He needs to call you on Monday, firm up the plans on Wednesday. By the weekend, you know what's happening. Then you know you're...
Me, if I like you, I tell you.
There you go.
Anyway,
you see?
time's
That's
up.
keeping it real. Keeping it
Time's up. I think it's been real.
Yes, that's been real too.
It's been real.
Yeah.
And there's no pretense, and we didn't.
Yes, exactly. No pretending.
No pretense.
Ladies, tell a man if you like him.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.